Yo, how's it going everybody? You got Sketch here and welcome back to the channel. On this episode, we're going to be checking out a Genesis exclusive that was based on one of the most quotable and noteworthy horror comedies ever made. We're looking at Ghostbusters, developed in collaboration by Compile and Sega, published by Sega released into the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive in 1990. This version is often regarded as one of the better Ghostbusters games to be released, and compared to the Activision games that came out before this, is an accurate assessment. The IP, in the hands of one of the best shoot-'em-up developers out there, sounds like a recipe for success. But before jumping to any conclusions, let's check out the story. After an earthquake rocks the city, a flood of paranormal activity follows in its wake. The Ghostbusters pool their resources and knowledge together to get rid of the ghosts and figure out what exactly is the root cause of the quake. It's going to be a battle, but can you contain the paranormal threat and save the city? The bigger question is, who you gonna call? Gameplay wise, you've got a 2D run and gun platformer where you'll bust ghosts through 6 stages, the first 4 of which you can pick in the order however you wish. The last 2 stages are the castle and the final chase. You can select 3 of the 4 Ghostbusters except for Winston, and each of them have different speed and strength stats. Every so often, Slimer will pass by on a stage and hitting him will drop either blue or pink droplets. Blue drops will refill some health, and pink ones will refill your special weapons. You also collect cash and bonuses on each level, and each attempt to use on item and weapon shops. Both shops have useful items that you'll need and want, like the night vision goggles and a variety of weapons to bust the paranormal ops. The night vision goggles will be necessary for the burning apartment building, otherwise you will not be able to see where you're going until getting to the boss encounter if you can make it that far. These also degrade over time, so you have to buy multiple goggles and equip them once they run out. The platforming does get challenging towards the middle of the game, especially when you encounter more traps and moving platforms. It's never overly difficult, but there are a few spots where you'll need to be nimble, or you'll become a pincushion, or worse, sliced to bits by pendulums. The underwater level will have you swimming around to navigate the stage, and the building engulfed in flames that you'll have to make your fiery way through. Larger stages can be punishing with the platforming if you miss a jump, which can set you back, requiring backtracking, or dropping you right into a trap. Compared to the Ghostbusters games that came out before this one, it plays like Contra with a paranormal twist. You'll down as many ghosts as you can while searching for bosses, and then finding the stage's exit where main encounters activate. You can also leave the stage if you want to get some more supplies, but that will come at the cost of upsetting that customer. You can bounce back from their initial disapproval, but know there is a slight consequence for bailing out on a mission. Going through each stage, you'll have a set number of ghosts to catch along with bagging the stage's main boss, and these encounters are pretty fun but will test your mettle. After each encounter, you also need to trap the ghost by getting it near your trap as you hit it with the proton pack. You get 3 chances to trap the ghost, and if you botch it, they will dive attack you until you try again. Ghosts can escape during the sequence, but if you can get them close enough to the trap, you'll get most of them. Once you complete a stage, you can move on to the next one, and after completing the first 4 stages, the haunted castle opens up. Here you'll face several bosses, including 2 of the other Ghostbusters that become possessed, and this battle will seem confusing at first as they seem to mirror your attacks. You'll want to get behind them without spamming your attacks and shoot the ghosts behind them. Hitting them with special weapons will do higher damage, but note, if you spam attacks, so will they, as well as match your equipped weapon. Once you complete that stage, the final chase will open, and this level is much like the castle except an underground crystal cave. There are numerous hazards like pits and spikes that will severely damage you if you're not careful, and using the map on the inventory screen will guide you towards encounters. You'll battle several previously seen bosses until getting to the final showdown with Jana, the Lord of Death. This is easily the hardest battle in the game since it will track you around the arena and is the largest one you'll see in the game. Graphics wise, Ghostbusters has a much different look than its 1987 arcade game developed by Data East, and very different from the version that appeared on the Nintendo Entertainment System, Sega Master System, and Atari 2600 that were developed by Activision in 1985. The Compile Ghostbusters game has a more chibi look with its characters, having big heads to detail the likenesses of the characters, and enemies that will fall more in line with the real Ghostbusters animated series from 1986. The animations are fun with a style reminiscent of early anime facial expressions. It's interesting to note that the earlier games aside from the NES PAL exclusive New Ghostbusters 2 didn't feature Winston, but the animated series did. Fan-made patches decades later would add him as a playable character in this version, but why not have the whole squad off the top? Enemy variety is actually pretty good, featuring iconic characters like Slimer and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. You see sub-bosses that resemble Zool, but is never directly named as such. While there are a few enemies from the film, and to a lesser extent the animated series, the rest are creations from the minds of Compile, like an evil snowman, magician, fire dragons, fireman, and even demons. You get some enemy variety with the haunted chairs, plates, cutlery, and even tablecloths become things you'll check twice before moving forward. Stages are all various mazes where you'll hunt the paranormal, progressively getting larger with more detail and hazards. Stages will have multiple levels and areas that have moderately detailed backgrounds with interactive foreground elements. The castle and final chase stages look crazy cozy though, with the background design standing out with its overgrown cellar walls and crystalline xenomorph-esque interiors. While the first few stages have a good bit of detail, character sprites definitely take the lead over the background since most sprites are large. Encounters with this Marshmallow Man are pretty sick as you battle it on the rooftop with his fist and flames flying at you, and the Jenna encounter looks like an enemy you'd see at the end of a Compile shoot 'em up with its floating Shogun armor worn by a skeleton. You can tell they have fun with the enemy design, sticking to the source material and throwing in traits that they're known for. After the initial encounter when you trap Ghost, the success graphic does look dope, saying you got it. There's also a lot of cutscenes developing the story as it moves along, and this has some fun twists in it. Starting out fairly straightforward, you get some fun curveballs the deeper into the game that you get with the stone tablet backstory. The character image nameplates looks like they can use a coffee, while the sprites and the story frame will be a lot more emotive and inquisitive. The customers go from terrified mess to happily sliding you a few grand for your ghost hunting efforts, along with the front page photo on the Sega Daily News. The Compile charm comes through here with the cutscenes and character design, making it a good mixture of source material and original ideas. Sound-wise, Ghostbusters is pretty solid with some good tunes and decent sound effects work. The soundtrack, composed by Kazuhiko Nagai, aka Nav, is a fun one full of various jams as you wrangle Ghost. Nagai, being a long-time sound designer for Sega, left the soundtrack in good hands, being responsible for numerous scores like Zillion 1 and 2, Space Harrier 2, and Rambo 3, just to name a few. He lays down some tunes that have a horror feel alongside really bouncy tunes that fit an action platformer well. The sound effects are nice and full with some good audible feedback as you damage enemies. There's even the detail of the cutlery hitting the walls and ice picks hitting frost as you approach, which is a cut above some audio work seen on the console, especially up to that point. There's some almost cartoon-like sound effects like the accordion when your character loses a life, and when they take damage, it's audibly easy to tell what's happening alongside the solid visuals. Weapons mostly sound good too, with the base blaster having a nice compressed sound. The flamethrower is the weakest sounding weapon despite its high damage, but has the impact sound of a buzzsaw. The explosion sounds and thunderclap are the same soundbite, but it does have a good bit of punch to it. Downing the bigger enemies has a satisfying explosion sound as well as when you land the final hit on bosses, and it has some solid audio buildup. To sum it all up, Ghostbusters for the Sega Genesis is one of my favorite Ghostbusters licensed games, and one of the first games I got for the console as a kid. It took a while to figure out what to do back then, and once it all clicked, it quickly got a lot more fun. Playing it again decades later, it's even cool to realize it's a legendary shoot-'em-up developer working on one of the most popular horror comedy IPs of all time, and delivering a unique experience that faithfully utilized the source material. The 80s Activision games that released in North America paled in comparison to the Compile's effort, and it's a fun one to run through every so often. It's challenging despite its playful looks, and has some gnarly character designs that may have some exclaim, "We got one," in delight. If you're a fan of the franchise, this is one most will appreciate playing, especially if you're also familiar with Compile developed games. Ghostbusters for the Sega Genesis gets an 8.5 out of 10 and comes recommended to action platformer fans, as well as fans of the franchise, as both will find enjoyable things with this. You get a fun and challenging experience at a base, and as a Ghostbusters game, one that is certainly ahead of the pack. For an early Genesis game, this is one that should be in your collection if you're into horror games, and is a solid choice to play during the holidays. Physical copies usually go for around $35 for loose cartridges, and about $80 for complete US copies, so it's easy to recommend, especially for the price. This has yet to appear on any compilation or reissue, so getting the original cart is an option if you want one, but otherwise, play it however you can if you're after a solid Ghostbusters experience. And I thank you again if you made it this far into the video. If you found this video helpful, that's awesome, glad to use it as a resource. Check back often, we'll have more commentaries and reviews coming up in the future. But until then, happy Halloween, stay safe out there, and I'll see you on the next one.